You wanna play too? It'll be fun.
Hello everybody, this is Faro with League Top 10 and I will be presenting the beginner's guide to playing Annie the Dark Child. The Dark Child is one of the best nukers in the League of Legends. With a high kill potential and a powerful stun, Annie has her place in both high and low tier matches. Annie's strengths lie in her early game burst potential and ganking ability, but the low cooldown and excellent scaling on her primary nuke, as well as her potential for AoE stuns, make her a formidable champion at all stages of the game. An important part of selecting your champion is the summoner spells you use to complement them. Annie is an especially versatile champion in that almost any summoner spell you select helps her out immensely. The Annie clips used in this video will consist primarily of Flash Ignite, as they make for the most aggressive summoner spell combination. As this is a beginner's guide to playing Annie, we will not be discussing masteries in depth. However, it is recommended that you improve the summoner abilities you take with their respective masteries. Once the game has started, you have a choice of your 3 starting spells. Your Q ability, Disintegrate, is a short cooldown nuke that restores mana if it lands a killing blow. Your W ability, Incinerate, is a frontal cone blast that is excellent for clearing creep waves. Your E ability, Molten Shield, is a decent defensive ability that gives Annie some much needed armor and magic resist. You should take Incinerate, your W, as your first ability. This may seem counterintuitive, as you will be maxing your Q ability first. The reason you take your W ability is so that you can take advantage of Annie's excellent passive, Pyromania. Pyromania causes every 5th spell to energize Annie, making her next spell cast a stun. This allows you to charge up your stun in the fountain and enter your lane or the teamfighted dragon with an AoE stun. You may be wondering what items to buy while you sit in the fountain and charge your stun. I recommend a Sapphire Crystal and 2 health potions. The Sapphire Crystal is extremely helpful, as Annie's ability to kill depends on her ability to consecutively cast her spells, making raw mana more helpful than mana regen. The Sapphire Crystal also techs into items that are excellent for Annie's kill power, such as Rod of Ages or the more recent Void Staff. Now that you've got your stun and your starter items, it's time for the laning phase. If your team is attempting Dragon, Golem, or Lizard, you should be with them in case of a team fight. If you have the chance, I highly recommend Annie take the solo lane, especially over carries such as Ashe or Tristana. Annie's late game strengths lie in her ability to do well early and mid game, and with a small level advantage, Annie is one of the best mid-game killers due to her high burst. If you can't get the solo lane, getting a lane with any harasser or stunner is vital, although she can be used to babysit melee carries such as Yi, Tryndamere, or Jax. The key to playing a successful Annie is alternating between defensive and offensive play appropriately. When your energize is up, you should be running your lane. Stand at a safe but intimidating distance, and if an opposing hero comes close, hit them with a stun and then a spell or 2, then head back to real safety. Use Annie's extremely long auto attack range to harass enemy champions and score last hits, but be aware that her animation is a little slow and may take some getting used to. To help with this, use Disintegrate to last hit the creeps and charge your stun. Continue to harass them until they're within kill range, which is about 200 HP at level 3. Use your offensive summoner skills to ensure a kill, and remember that at this level, auto attack damage is the difference between a kill and them making it to safety. An Annie First Blood is crucial, as it allows you to purchase a catalyst and boots before level 5. An early catalyst means continuous ganks and almost no fountain trips. Continue to alternate between defensive and offensive play if you're laning, or communicate with your team to gank their lanes. If you find yourself dropping Tibbers in a lane gank, you should stay and use him to push the lane with your allies. You can use Tibbers as a shield to tower dive with if an opposing champion gets away. Just make sure you can take a hit or 2 from the tower afterwards. Use Tivers to immolate the creep waves down, and try not to get him killed by the tower. The tower tends to target him last out of all the melee creeps, so be sure to move him using Alt right click. Now that you've killed a few people and taken a few towers, it's time to head back to base for some important item purchases. You want to upgrade into some better shoes, but to decide which you'll need to look at the other team. If they are CC heavy, invest in Mercury treads. If they've got a lot of physical damage and you've drawn attention to yourself, a ninja tabby is a solid investment. Otherwise, I recommend the Sorc boots for magic penetration. Your next item should be a Mejai's Soul Stealer. Purchasing this relatively early allows you to charge it up for the full amount, as well as increase your staying power. Remember, getting a kill with Soul Stealer gives you all the mana that champion had upon death. If you've had an exceptional early mid-game, you may be able to finish off your Rod of Ages. But if you can't, remember it's your next item and worth buying as soon as you have the money. You should be well into mid-game by this point, so you should stick with your team and go for easy ganks to tower pushes. Remember, if you're past the river alone and there's more than 2 people missing, it's probably time for you to leave. If you find yourself getting ganked, remember to never stop casting while you're running. You need to fish for that stun to save your life. When teamfights start breaking out, it's important for you to not be the first target. Stand back and use an energized Tivers to stun as many of their DPS and CCers as you can. Find a target in teamfights that has a balance of squishiness and actually being a threat. Spam your Disintegrate and Incinerate in an effort to blow everything up as quickly as possible. Cast Molten Shield every time it's up to help you charge your Energize, and try and use it with Incinerate. Remember, AoE stuns are king in teamfights. From the point teamfights start becoming a regular occurrence, you want to make sure you always have both Golem buff and an Elixir of Brilliance on you. Do not, however, let the elixirs detract from your next big purchase, the Void Staff. By this time you should be able to see which team is going to win. If it's not yours, you need to make sure somebody on your team is responsible for keeping wards at Nashor. If nobody on your team is willing to spend 90 gold, then you need to do it. Using Tivers to kill steal the Nashor buff is a tried and true game turner, but keep in mind it's difficult to do. If your team has the upper hand and you decide to do Nashor, you should always keep energized and be ready to stun with Tivers in case a team fight breaks out. Around this time, the game should be coming to a close. If it isn't, it's time for you to start building a defensive item. I prefer Guardian Angel to Warmogs, though both are suitable choices for Annie. One thing to note is that if the enemy team doesn't seem to be taking magic resist, but does seem to enjoy killing you, you can bump Guardians above Void Staff in build priorities. With Annie's help, at this stage in the game, it should take your team seconds to push a creep wave through to the enemy inhibitor. This has been Faro with the League Top 10. Thank you for watching my beginner's guide to Annie. Subscribe to the League Top 10 YouTube channel for more beginner's guides, advanced guides, the top 10 clips of the week, and match commentaries.